There exists a rare breed of men whose presence is felt before they speak, whose very essence commands attention, and you might wonder what separates them from the masses who blend into the background of life. It's not a secret technique or a facade they wear. It's something far deeper, something intrinsic. You see, these men possess an undeniable clarity of purpose. They walk through life with a quiet confidence, not because they've conquered every obstacle, but because they've embraced their inner fire. And this fire, it's not fueled by the need to impress or perform. No, it burns with authenticity, with a steadfast vision of who they are and what they stand for. Consider this: in a world that constantly pulls at your attention, the magnetic man remains unwavering, anchored by a profound sense of self. He doesn't chase recognition or validation because he's already validated by his own convictions. Now think about that. In the chaos of modern life, can you cultivate such presence and clarity within yourself? Their secret isn't buried in their words or actions, it's in the silent symphony of their being. You see, the difference lies in their inner alignment, a harmony between thought and heart. Think about that for a moment. These men have cultivated an inner clarity that transcends the need for validation. And here's what that means. They walk into a room not to take, but to simply be. This presence, this quiet confidence, resonates with an authenticity that cannot be feigned or fabricated. It's the essence of a man who knows who he is and where he stands. Now contrast this with those who remain invisible. These individuals are often caught in the whirlwind of external expectations, shackled by the need to perform and please. They chase approval like a mirage, exhausting themselves in an endless pursuit of acceptance. But here's the thing: true magnetism doesn't chase. It attracts, and it attracts because it emanates from a core truth that is unshakable, undeniable. What I've learned is that this kind of presence is not a gift given at birth, but a discipline honed over time. Think about the magnetism of a man who truly knows himself. It's not in grand gestures or loud proclamations. It's in the stillness of his presence, the quiet confidence that speaks volumes without uttering a single word. But here's the thing: this kind of presence doesn't come from external validation or fleeting victories. It's forged in the fires of introspection, where clarity and purpose find their roots. You've seen it before: a man who walks into a room and owns it without demanding attention, simply because he's in tune with his own essence. And here's what that means for you. In a world obsessed with appearances and noise, true magnetism requires restraint. It calls for the courage to look within, to confront your doubts and fears, and to emerge with a purpose that's unwavering. This inner fire, once kindled, doesn't just illuminate your path, it draws others to you, not out of necessity, but out of genuine admiration. Now, isn't that what separates the few from the many? It's time to awaken that potential within you. And that stillness, that quiet confidence, it's not something you can fake. It's an embodiment of understanding who you are. You see, when a man is clear about his values, his purpose, his boundaries, he becomes a lighthouse in the storm of life's chaos. People are drawn to that kind of strength, not because it's loud, but because it's undeniably present. Now imagine standing in a crowded room surrounded by noise and commotion, yet there's one figure who stands out, not by what he does, but by who he is. This is the essence of true magnetism, an unwavering sense of self that doesn't seek validation from the outside. But here's the thing: this depth of character requires introspection, a willingness to confront one's fears and failings. It's not about wearing a mask. It's about revealing the authentic self beneath. And when you reach this level of clarity, something remarkable happens. You no longer chase after approval. Instead, the right energies naturally gravitate towards you. It is as if the universe bends a little in his favor. Now think about that for a moment. How often do you see someone truly aligned with their core and wonder what sets them apart? It's not the superficial attributes, but a resonance that echoes from their very being. You see, clarity is not merely a tool, it's a state of existence. And when a man embodies it, he becomes a beacon, drawing others toward him without effort or intent. This is the kind of magnetism that cannot be manufactured or mimicked. But here's where it gets interesting. This clarity, this presence, it isn't a destination. It's a journey, a continuous unfolding of self-awareness and self-acceptance. And that's the paradox. The more you know yourself, the more invisible you become to doubts and fears, yet more visible to your true aspirations and opportunities. Because ultimately, the secret to lasting attraction is not in chasing validation from the outside world, but in cultivating a profound connection within. It's not the superficial, the loud, or the boastful that turns heads. It's the quiet confidence, the kind that whispers even when the world is shouting. Now, what does that mean for you? It means cultivating an inner world so vibrant, it reflects outward without effort. This isn't about adopting a facade, but about embodying a truth. And here's where most falter. They chase shadows of success, all noise with no depth. But you must look inward. What passions burn within you? What truths resonate so profoundly that they demand expression? You see, the most magnetic individuals are those who have unearthed their own essence. They are not swayed by the transient desires of society, but remain anchored in their personal convictions. And as they walk their path, their mere presence inspires others to awaken. It's not about performing or chasing, it's about becoming. Consider this transformation not as an endpoint, but as a continuous journey, because ultimately it's the journey that defines the man. You see, true magnetism isn't about putting on a show, but about being so profoundly yourself that you become an island of authenticity in a sea of pretense. It's about knowing who you are so deeply that you no longer seek validation from the crowd. And here's what that means for you. It's time to stop performing and start living. Living in a way that aligns with your core values, your true desires, and your authentic self. But there's something deeper. It's about the energy you carry. Think about that for a moment. When you walk into a room, what do you bring with you? Is it the weight of insecurity or the lightness of self-assuredness? Because ultimately it's not the words you speak, but the silence you embrace that creates the loudest echo. Now let me be clear, this isn't about arrogance or aloofness. No, it's about a grounded power, a quiet strength that radiates from within. You've felt this before. We all have. It's the kind of presence that inspires rather than demands. It's about standing firm in who you are without apology. And when you reach that level of self-assurance, something remarkable happens. You become a lighthouse guiding others with your inner light, not because you demand attention, but because your clarity naturally draws them in. Now think about that for a moment. How many men wander through life unsure of their purpose, like ships lost in the fog? They're invisible to themselves and consequently to others. But here's the thing, when you anchor yourself in your truth, you begin to exude a quiet confidence that's unmistakable. People sense it. They can't quite put their finger on it, but they're drawn to it like moths to a flame. And it isn't because you're trying to be something you're not, it's because you're living in harmony with who you truly are. This is what separates the magnetic from the invisible, a commitment to authenticity that transcends the superficial allure of performance. Longer needing to chase external validation. You see, when a man truly knows himself, he exudes a silent confidence that speaks louder than words. It's not about being the loudest in the room, but rather possessing a quiet strength that draws people in like moths to a flame. And here's what that means. When you cultivate this inner clarity, you begin to navigate life with purpose and intention. This clarity then becomes your compass, guiding you through the chaos of the world without losing your way. Think about that for a moment. But there's something deeper. It's the restraint you learn in moments of chaos that truly defines your character. It's the ability to remain composed when everything around you is unraveling. This is where true power lies. Because ultimately it's not about controlling others, but mastering oneself. And this mastery creates an inner fire that fuels your journey. A beacon that not only illuminates your path, but also inspires others to find their own light. Let that sink in. Tather. And there lies the allure of magnetic presence. Think about it. In a world that rewards noise and hastiness, the man who masters his inner world stands apart. He walks with purpose, not because he's performing a role, but because his actions align with his essence. And here's what that means: authenticity becomes his allure. It's not a facade or a mask he wears, it's the undeniable truth of who he is. You see, when distractions are stripped away, clarity emerges. This clarity is a force that draws others in, not through coercion, but through genuine connection. People are naturally drawn to certainty, and the man who knows himself offers this certainty without effort. Consider this: in our modern age, where many drift aimlessly, the individual who has a clear vision becomes a beacon. This isn't about chasing others, it's about being so rooted in your own truth that others can't help but notice. And as you let this realization sink in, remember, the journey inward is where true power lies. He rushes, but because he understands the value of each step. And here's the deeper truth: the magnetic man is not driven by the chaos around him, but by the calm within. He harnesses his inner fire not to burn out of control, but to illuminate his path. You see, clarity is his compass, and presence is his anchor. But there's something more. Restraint becomes his silent strength. In a world that tempts with instant gratification, he finds power in patience. Now think about that for a moment. When we resist the pull of impulsiveness, we cultivate a force within that cannot be easily swayed. This inner fire doesn't just flicker, it blazes with intention. And what I've observed is this: such men don't chase. They attract by being grounded in their true essence. We all know someone who seems to effortlessly draw others in. It's not magic. It's the quiet confidence born from knowing one's worth. This reminds me that the invisible traits of presence and clarity are the keystones of true, unwavering magnetism. This inner fire, you see, is not a blaze that consumes recklessly. It's a controlled burn that fuels, that guides. It illuminates the path without scorching the earth beneath his feet. But here's the thing: this fire isn't merely passion, it's purpose. It's the quiet confidence that echoes throughout his being, reinforcing each decision he makes. Think about that for a moment. In a world that often mistakes noise for strength, the magnetic man stands as a beacon of quiet power. He knows that true strength doesn't shout, it whispers. It resonates through the silence he cultivates within himself, creating space for clarity to emerge. But here's the beauty of it. This inner fire isn't about external validation or applause. It's about the quiet confidence that comes from knowing your own worth, from understanding that you have everything you need within you. And when a man embraces this, he becomes a beacon, effortlessly drawing others towards him. You see, it's not about putting on a show or trying to impress. True magnetism comes from authenticity, from being so rooted in who you are that you don't need to seek approval elsewhere. Think about that for a moment. When was the last time you felt truly aligned with your purpose, so much so that the opinions of others could not sway you? This alignment is the essence of the magnetic man. He walks a path of clarity, not clouded by the noise of the world. And this clarity is contagious. People are drawn to it, not out of curiosity, but out of a deep-seated yearning for the same peace and purpose. So the question remains: are you ready to ignite that fire within? The tool you need within you, waiting to be unleashed. You see, this kind of presence isn't something that can be faked or manufactured. It's a natural result of aligning your actions with your true purpose. And when a man walks with this kind of purpose, he becomes magnetic. People are drawn to him not because of what he says, but because of the energy he emanates. It's an energy that says, I know who I am, and I'm not afraid to be that man. Think about that for a moment. In a world where so many wear masks and hide behind pretenses, the genuine man stands out like a lighthouse in a storm. But here's the thing. This journey requires courage. The courage to face who you are when no one's watching. The courage to embrace your strengths and confront your weaknesses. This inner exploration, this path to self-discovery, is the fire that fuels your magnetism. Because ultimately, a man who is at peace with himself exudes a silent power that is impossible to ignore. And here's what that means, my friend. When your actions resonate with your core, an unspoken confidence begins to emerge. It's not about adopting a facade or playing a role. Instead, it's about a profound congruence between who you are and who you show the world. The magnetic man doesn't seek validation externally, but draws it effortlessly from a well of inner certainty. Think about that for a moment. You see, the world is filled with noise and distraction pulling at your attention, but clarity arises from within. It's the quiet certainty in your decisions, the unwavering commitment to your own path. Now, this doesn't mean the journey is easy. Far from it. Challenges will test your resolve, but these trials forge your character. They illuminate your path, and when you walk with this kind of integrity, others notice, drawn to the quiet strength that doesn't need to shout its presence. This is the essence of true magnetism, a subtle power that speaks louder than words. Profound alignment. And it's in this alignment that true magnetism is born. You see, the world can sense authenticity. It's like a current beneath the surface, guiding your presence without you even realizing it. Because when you are authentic, you become a beacon. But here's the thing. Authenticity requires courage. The courage to embrace who you are without hesitation. And that courage, it's what transforms the invisible into the unmistakable. Think about those moments when you felt truly alive, when you were in tune with your own rhythm. That's the state we must cultivate. Now, this isn't about never feeling doubt or fear. No, it's about acknowledging those feelings, yet choosing to act in spite of them. It's in those moments that you carve out your unique path. And as you walk that path, others will naturally be drawn to the light you carry, because ultimately it's not about visibility in the eyes of others. It's about being unmistakably visible to yourself. So let that clarity ignite your inner fire. Realizing it. This invisible force doesn't demand attention, it commands it effortlessly. And here's what that means. When you're truly aligned, you don't need to chase opportunities or people, they find you. Because ultimately it's not about how loudly you speak or how grand your gestures are. It's the quiet confidence, the inner calm that draws others in. Now think about that. In a world obsessed with noise and spectacle, it's the silent strength that stands out. It's the man who knows who he is and isn't swayed by the superficial who truly captivates. But there's something deeper, something beneath the surface. It's the clarity of purpose, the restraint in action, the fire within that flickers not for others but for oneself. This isn't about perfection. It's about presence. And we all know someone like that, don't we? Someone who walks into a room and doesn't have to say a word to be noticed. It's not magic, it's mastery. Mastery of self, mastery of mind. Find you. But there's something deeper here. It's not just about drawing others in, it's about the gravity you create within yourself. You see, when a man truly knows his purpose and has the courage to pursue it relentlessly, he becomes magnetic. His certainty radiates outward, and others can't help but be drawn to his orbit. This doesn't come from a place of desperation, but from quiet confidence. Now think about that for a moment. When was the last time you met someone who exuded such presence that you couldn't help but take notice? It's rare, isn't it? Because ultimately, this kind of magnetism isn't about being loud or flashy. It's about subtlety, about the quiet assurance of someone who knows where they're going. And that's when transformation starts, when you stop trying to impress and start truly expressing. So ask yourself, are you living in alignment with your values, or are you drifting aimlessly through life? The key lies in this self-awareness. And with that awareness, you become a beacon in the dark, lighting the way for others. He chases it relentlessly. He shifts the dynamics of his reality. His presence becomes a beacon, not because he's demanding attention, but because he's embodying his truth. Think about that for a moment. The world is full of noise, distractions pulling at our sleeves, whispering promises of easy paths and quick fixes. But the truly magnetic man doesn't buy in. He stands in the eye of the storm, grounded in clarity, while chaos swirls around him. That's where his power lies. It's not about exerting force or putting on a show. It's about the quiet confidence that speaks volumes without uttering a word. You see, we've all been in rooms where one person's energy shifts the air, haven't we? It's as if their mere presence rearranges the molecules. And why is that? Because they radiate an inner fire, a purpose burning so brightly within them that others can't help but take notice. This isn't about being loud or boisterous. It's about being alive with intention. So ask yourself, where does your fire burn? When a man stands firm in his truth, something remarkable happens. The world begins to adjust to his frequency. You see, the magnetic pull he exerts isn't born from loud declarations or relentless pursuits. It's a silent power, a quiet assurance that emanates from deep within. And here's where it gets interesting. This inner certainty isn't about having all the answers or knowing every step ahead. It's about embracing the uncertainty and choosing to move forward regardless. Let that sink in. Now, why is this so significant? Because in a world where many are swept away by the currents of doubt and distraction, the man who holds his ground becomes a rarity. He doesn't need to shout to be heard. His mere presence speaks volumes. But there's something deeper here. This isn't about isolation or arrogance. It's about understanding that true strength lies in the willingness to be vulnerable, to admit when you're unsure, and yet still choose to stand tall. Think of the calm amidst a storm. It's not the absence of chaos, but the mastery of it. Only when he aligns with his inherent truth does he discover the quiet strength of his presence. It's not about overpowering a room, but about subtly shifting its energy. You see, there's an elegance to restraint, a hidden power in the decision to speak only when words truly matter. And here's what that means. A man who embodies this doesn't need to demand attention. Attention naturally gravitates towards him. Picture the calm in the eye of a storm. It's not the chaos that commands respect, but the stillness at its center. Now think about that for a moment. In a world addicted to noise and haste, the man who masters the art of presence becomes a beacon. It's an art, not a science. It's about sensing when to act and when to pause, knowing when to engage and when to withdraw. And this clarity, this inner fire, it doesn't come from seeking validation. It comes from self-trust, from the quiet confidence of knowing who you are and what you stand for. When you cultivate this, you become magnetic, not invisible. That comes from a man who knows who he is at his core. And here's the thing, when your presence is grounded in authenticity, you don't need to prove it to anyone. It's a silent conversation, a resonance felt by those around you. You see, true magnetism is born from within, not acquired through external validation or superficial charm. It's a quiet confidence that whispers rather than shouts. Now think about the men you admire. They don't chase validation. They embody it. They have mastered the art of being still, of listening more than they speak. This reminds me of the power of restraint. In a world that seems to reward those who shout the loudest, the truly powerful man knows when to hold back. He understands that words are tools, not weapons, and he uses them wisely. Restraint is not weakness. It's a measure of one's control and understanding, because ultimately a man who knows when to pause and reflect is one who commands respect. Let that sink in. It's not the noise that defines him, but the gravity of his silence with the world around you. This resonance speaks louder than any words could, and it draws people in like moths to a flame. You see, the magnetic man doesn't seek validation from the outside. His core is rooted in a self-awareness that transcends the shifting sands of external approval. He's not chasing, he's attracting. And that attraction isn't born from arrogance or entitlement. It's a quiet confidence, a natural byproduct of knowing and embracing oneself fully. Think about that for a moment. In a world where many are invisible, blurred by the noise of imitation, the truly magnetic man stands out not through volume, but through depth. His clarity of purpose, his restraint in action, and his unwavering presence create a gravitational pull that cannot be feigned. This is where the inner fire comes into play. It's that passion burning within, fueling his every move, yet it's restrained, disciplined, focused. When a man channels this inner fire, he becomes a beacon. Core is rooted deep within, unwavering and steadfast. And here's what that means. He knows his worth, but there's something deeper, a silent strength that whispers instead of shouts. This reminds me of the power of restraint, not the absence of action, but the mastery of it. You see, the world is filled with noise, but the magnetic man, he listens. He absorbs and interprets, and in doing so, he understands the true nature of things. Now think about that for a moment. In a society so preoccupied with constant movement, he finds stillness, and it is in this stillness that his presence becomes undeniable. Because ultimately, attraction is not about chasing, but about being. It's about embodying the values you cherish without compromise or fear. What I've learned is that true magnetism is not crafted. It is revealed through authenticity. The journey, then, is not to become someone else, but to discover who you truly are. And as you peel back these layers, you uncover your own inner fire. The whisper of true strength echoes louder than any shout, reaching into the soul with a resonance that cannot be ignored. You see, when a man knows his worth, he commands presence simply by being. But here's the thing, this isn't about arrogance. It's about authenticity. Authenticity that radiates from within, attracting others not through force, but through genuine connection. Now consider this, your journey to transformation starts not with grand gestures, but with small intentional steps. Let that sink in.